Thursday, September 26th meeting of the Hays City Commission to order. Next item on the agenda are the minutes. Consider approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held on September 12th, 2019. Are there any changes?
None.
Hearing none, they're approved as presented. Next, financial statement. Consider accepting the financial statement for the month of August 2019.
This is a summary of financial activities for the City of Hays, month ended August 31, 2019. Revenues in August totaled $2,292,930. That's an increase of $109,453 when we compare to the same period last year. A notable area of increased revenue, as you might have imagined, month-to-date water consumption for August was up significantly when compared to a year ago. Total residential and commercial water consumption was up 45%, translating into a total water revenue increase of $82,300, with conservation up $74,800. Year-to-date, total water consumption is still down 3%, with total revenue up 3.6%. Notable areas of revenue decrease. Economic development revenue was down $16,300 due to the receipt of the reimbursement for CID legal fees a year ago. Parks improvement miscellaneous revenue fell $20,000 due to the Iki Park restroom donation from the Sunrise Rotary Club that was received this time last year. Expenditures in August totaled $4,418,225. That's a decrease of $993,576. Some notable areas of increased expenditure. Airport fund contingency was up $19,000 due in large part for the purchase of seed to convert farm ground inside the new airport fence back to native grasses. IT other contractual increased $6,000 due to the laserfish maintenance renewal and purchase of SQL licensing. And water reclamation reserve projects continued up $145,000 as a result of the emergency repair to the sewer main on the bypass. Notable areas of decrease. Airport improvement fell $50,000 as a result of the purchase of a replacement generator for the airport terminal a year ago. City Commission capital reserves was off $849,000 for the approved transfer this time last year in connection with the rebuild of 43rd and 45th Streets. Water reserve projects fell $210,000 from a year ago for water line improvements on General Hays and sandblast and painting of the water towers. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections were at $597,876. That's a decrease of $10,219 or negative 1.68% when we compare to last year. Year-to-date general fund sales tax collections are at $4,817,000, up $76,900 or 1.62%. The 6-month average is at a negative 1.59, which is a decrease of a negative 4.82 when compared to a year ago. The report of top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was up $69,000 or 3.6% when compared to the same time last year. These top 10 now represent 75% of the total sales tax collections for August. And finally, the portfolio of certificates of deposit on August 31 totaled $60,300,000 with a weighted average interest rate of 2.39, up 0.53 from a year ago. Total balance of the money market account on August 31 was $2 million with a current yield of 0.9. Total investments are up $4.643 million when compared to this time last year.
Make a motion that we accept the August 2019 financial statement.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Rupp, I notice in the top 10 you have electric, solar, wind, natural gas distribution. It's up the most, 54%, 31,000 over last year. Is that because it was a warmer summer, or do you know why that might be?
I believe there was some work on solar in the area
Last
last
sales
year.
tax.
I'm sorry, work on wind.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries 4-0. I want to thank everyone in chambers and at home for participating in our meeting, either here or virtually. We appreciate your interest in city government. If anyone in chambers would like to approach the commission about a non-agenda item, this is your part of the agenda. All here for the agenda. And the closed citizen comments, moving on to the consent agenda. This will be approved by the commission in one motion. It's a approval of a cereal malt beverage license for the Volga German Oktoberfest. Is there a motion?
Move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes 4-0. No unfinished business. New business, annexation of property located at 4890 and 4940 General Hayes Road.
Good evening, Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works. Want to visit about hopeful approval of an annexation of property, as you mentioned, located at 4890 and 4940 General Hayes Road. General location of the property is north of I-70, east side of Vine. Here's a little larger view of the property. You can see the nearby businesses just to get you the general location. You have Joe Bob's, Dr. Miner's just to the south. This would be the previous Carico several years ago, the previous market, the Hayes Livestock Market Center. Everything in the blue shaded colors is currently annexed into the city limits. So this would be a contiguous annexation, just annexing the two lots highlighted here to the north of current city limits. The property owner immediately to the south has the business there, has these two lots as well, and is proposing an expansion of the current business as well as some other opportunities for some other storefronts as well. City and water, as well as street, are located at the property, ready for connection. I mentioned the land is contiguous already with the city limits. Approval of the annexation would allow the developer to get full city services, including utilities, fire, police protection, and everything that goes along. The property is currently zoned C2 general commercial, like all the surrounding property. Options to either annex or not. This would be the action requested should you decide to do so.
I move approval of ordinance number 3969, annexing 4890 and 4940 General Hayes Road to the city of Hayes.
Second. Any discussion? Appreciate your investment in our community. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0. Next item, vehicle abatement, 520 West 17th Street.
So this item, we are asking you to consider abatement of an inoperable vehicle that's located in the rear of the property at 520 West 17th. As is typical with these types of issues, we do have a process to notify property owners, and that process has been followed, and all required notifications have been sent to the registered property owner of the property. As of today, the vehicle is still there. There has been no attempt by the owner to move the vehicle or contact us otherwise. And just as a side note, I mentioned last week, just since 2012, we've had 30 nuisance or inoperable vehicle cases on this particular property. Here's a couple pictures of the vehicle from the summer here. Here's one, again, just from last week. We did check the property again today. We are also having to issue notices because of the tall grass on the property as well. That will be handled through code enforcement. That, of course, doesn't come through the city commission, but that is also being addressed. Options would be to approve the resolution, to abate, or not. If you choose to approve the resolution, then city staff would contact a contractor and have the vehicle removed from the property 10 days after the approval of the resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2019-010 to abate the vehicle located on the property at 520 West 17th, 10 days after the approval date.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have a question. Repeat that comment you made about how many, did you say there was like 30 vehicles at this same location? Did I understand that right?
No, we've had 30 nuisance cases on the property since 2012. That being various inoperable vehicles, tall weeds and grass, junk. We've had various abatements on the property over the years as well. This is the first abatement of the property on this year. Last year, we might have had one year before. And like I say, it is my understanding that the property owner may have relocated now, good or bad.
What happens to them after they tow them away?
We contact the local salvage yard, and they come and get them for us. They are required to hold the vehicle for a particular minimum amount of time. If the owner of the vehicle wants the vehicle back, they have to go there and they have to pay them for the towing fees, the storage fees. And I also believe they require current insurance and or registration to be shown as well before they'll release the vehicle. So we're not out, if they don't come back and claim the vehicle, then the vehicle is their payment for the services they provided.
Is anyone living in the property?
I don't believe, as of right now, anyone, as of the end of August, I don't believe so. Up until that time, there was someone there.
And was it the person that owns the vehicle, or was it a rental, you know?
Not certain about that.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Sanitary sewer lining project, 2019-01, award of bid.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Chrisman, Director of Water Resources. The CIP capital improvement plan within our 2019 budget included a project labeled sewer line repair projects. Staff had created an RFP, to complete cure-in-place pipe, or as I will refer to it as CIPP, lining of approximately 15,000 linear feet of 8-inch clay sanitary sewer. The project also includes a spot repair of the swimming pool drain line that goes under the Big Creek levee. This is a general area of the project. It is south of 17th Street and west of Main Street in the southwest portion of Hayes. Here's a little bit closer view, and this does include the line that leaves the Hayes Aquatic Park and then goes under the levee. So as you can see here, there's Main, there is 17th Street. An inspection of pipes under the levee revealed that there is a hole in the swimming pool drain line, which could cause a problem in case of a Big Creek flood. The Corps of Engineers requires this pipe to be repaired in order to remain eligible for the federal levee program. That portion of the project, the low bidder in this project bid a cost of $5,500 to perform that repair of that line. These are the sanitary sewer lines. Basically, the red lines are the lines that would be repaired as part of this project. Those lines are from manhole to manhole, and that represents 40 segments of line that would be repaired. As I mentioned last week, this is the first major CIPP lining project for the city of Hayes that we've performed. These are the identified segments that are generally our biggest concerns. We started with what would be the biggest, what would make the most impact, what do we want to take care of first, and this was definitely the area that we wanted to take care of. Recently, you also may remember that the commission had approved a project to perform spot repair projects where they had to go CCTV, where the camera would go through and they couldn't get through a line. That required us to have that part of that line dug up, and so those were called spot repairs. And you approved a spot repair program for 26 areas of town, and within this general area, there were 6 of those that were repaired. So what is CIPP lining? Basically, it's trenchless, it's quick, it's cost effective. One of the things I should have mentioned last week is we have some lines that are more than 10 feet deep. So there is a safety factor, and there's a lot of excavation that goes on when you actually have to go in to remove a line physically. With CIPP, it's a resin, it's a polyester resin that's pulled through a manhole, and it's inflated with either steam or water to get that to conform to the size of that pipe. Once complete, many of the problems such as infiltration, leakage, deteriorating infrastructure, that can be repaired with CIPP lining. The materials, typically it's a resin material. In our case, for this project, that's mostly polyester, vinyl, and epoxy is what makes up that the material that would be used. And this is the video that I showed last week, and I'm going to show it again.
Aging underground piping systems typically look like this and can be filled with roots, broken pipe, and other debris that impede flow. We use a high-pressure water jetter to clean the pipe in order to first evaluate, then line the pipe. After the host pipe has been cleaned, we run a specialized closed-circuit camera through the line, looking for anything that could impede the installation of the CIPP liner. We will also identify all live service connections. In preparation for the CIPP liner installation, we will vacuum impregnate the liner with our thermal setting resin at our wet-out facility. This is the component that will later make the liner rigid, like a typical PVC pipe. Our CIPP liner cures under heat, So our freshly prepared liner tube is transported to the job site via refrigerated truck to ensure it's kept malleable prior to its installation. At the job site, the hose pipe is first bypassed so there are no service interruptions. Then our installation equipment is set up and the CIPP liner is installed using air, as shown here, or water pressure to conform to the inside of the hose pipe. This process is much like turning a sock inside out. Once the CIPP liner is completely inverted into the host pipe, hot water or steam is cycled through it, which causes the thermal setting resin to cure into a rigid state. Once the CIPP liner has fully cured, water or steam are continuously cycled through for a specified period of time, and then allowed to gradually cool down to achieve an optimal finished product. After the specified cool down period, the pressure is released and the ends of the liner are cut inside the manholes. After the line has been opened at both ends, a robotic cutter is deployed to open all the service connections from inside the pipe. This alleviates the need to dig to restore service.
All right, last week, Commissioner Melick, I believe it was you that asked me about how do they know where to cut? And one of the things I did do is I reached out to SAK Construction, and I won't read the entire email because some of it's a lot of repeat, because what I'll talk about is they go in and do that pre-inspection as they mentioned there. But what happens is the locations, basically the pre-inspection, these locations, distance and clock position. So basically they know where that tractor is going to go and the clock position. But not only does it do that, it creates a small dimple. So basically when that liner is inflated, where that tap was, it creates a dimple. So when they are going through there, they're cross-referencing the distance, the clock location, whether that be 3 o'clock, wherever that may be, and it creates a dimple into that, that material, so they know they're exactly where they need to be. So that would answer that question from last week. As I did last week, I also showed you a segment just to give you a little bit of an example. Segment, as we call it, 926, from one manhole to another. This is the alley between 11th Street and 12th Street, and then between Walnut and Elm Street, down in the southwest portion. This one is 502 feet between both manholes within that alley. And I will mention too that that's about a 5-foot deep sewer line in that alley. So it is fairly shallow. But from a previous, these are observations from a previous CCTV inspection where we went in and had an inspection. This is back from 2014, and as I stated last week, you can't read that from where you're sitting. But every highlighted item that's on that list, and there's 40 of them within that 500 feet, are issues within that line. And this, excuse me, on our clock, it shows the clock position of that problem, and a few of the items such as there's a broken line, there's soil that's visible within our line, cracks, offset joints. Basically, as I mentioned, the two joints that come together, it may be offset in some way, and when they go through and they install that liner, it puts the shape back into original condition. The other thing that I mentioned on there too is water level sag. That might be an area where that camera that was going through, the camera may have went underwater because the line has started to settle a little bit. So 40 issues in just that section. On August 27th, we did open bids from the following companies, and they are familiar companies that we've used or that we've seen bid on items before. Staff estimated this project to be at $400,000. SAK Construction of Missouri, if awarded, they intend to begin this project on November 4th of this year, and the current schedule within the contract calls for them to be completed before July 1st of 2020. Within this project, there's a standard 1-year warranty, which is pretty standard across the companies. SAK, as I mentioned last week, is an expert in CIPP lining. They have over 20 years of experience in 30 countries, and I have some more details too on that as well. How the process would work is they would begin with a closed circuit TV inspection and cleaning. Their sub, which is Mayor Services out of Wichita, would be their sub for the project. They would come out, camera everything, send the data to SAK Construction, who would then order materials, and then they would come out and they would install the liner. Last week, Commissioner Musil, he had asked for specifics on SAK Construction, and SAK has performed work within the state of Kansas since 2008. So went all the way back to 2008. and they have performed 238 miles of sanitary sewer CIPP. So they've done a lot of work in the state, primarily in eastern Kansas. So Salina, Newton, Wichita, and Points East. I did talk to a couple of my counterparts. I called on Martha in Salina. She's the director of utilities, and then Rob in Manhattan, public works director. Not going to read everything, but Salina, she had mentioned that they completed 2 projects within the last few years. One they're waiting to bid out. They've been very pleased with the results. Her comment was, we have had some alleys downtown that we didn't want to open cut, and some deep sewers that would be difficult to get open. They do the TV inspections like we do each year, but then that's how they make determinations on what lines they would like to go in and do CIPP work. I would want to mention too, they had 2 projects in 15, one in 15 and one in 16. And in 2015, this same company, SAK, did their work, and she was very pleased with their work. Also, Rob in Manhattan, he basically mentioned that they have done CIPP within the city of Manhattan for the last 14 years that he has actually been there as the director. Very good results over the years controlling I&I, which is the inflow and infiltration, and within their sanitary system. And his last comment was, it has allowed us to continue to use older clay lines in the downtown portion of our city and get more years out of them. So I thought that was some pretty good testimonials out of a couple pretty good sized cities. So within the financial portion of this project, we are asking for your approval to spend up to the budgeted amount of $400,000. So we budgeted $400,000. The quote came in at $377,000. We would like to complete some additional work while they're mobilized, while they're here, and to continue that process. The $5,500 repair for the swimming pool drain line is a separate cost. It would be out of a different fund, which would be the Stormwater Management Fund. And I know it's not on there, but I did want to mention again that last week, within this project, the CIPP lining is about $25 a linear foot, whereas if you were going to do open cut and replace the line as it is right there today, you would be looking between $300 and $500 a linear foot. So it is definitely a cost-effective option. So the options tonight that I have for you are 3. Authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement with SAK Construction, direct staff to another option, or to do nothing. And this would be the action I would request.
Commissioners? Okay, I move we authorize the city manager to enter into agreement with SAK Construction LLC to complete CIPP lining at a cost not to exceed $400,000 to be funded from sewer capital and $5,500 to be funded out of stormwater management.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Jeff, I appreciate you looking into this and getting this started, because we have a lot of old pipe and old haze. And this may not be glamorous, but this is something that we need to do to take care of our city, our infrastructure. People don't think much about it, especially what's buried underground, but then when it fails, then everybody's up in arms. So this, kudos to being proactive on this and keeping the city running. Thank you.
Jeff, what warranty has SAK LLC offered us?
It's a 1-year warranty.
Okay. What's the estimated lifespan of this lining?
It could extend the life up to probably 30, 40 years. But what we want to make sure that we're continuing to do, and as I talked about last week, is continue our program of cleaning our sewer lines that continue to help maintain and extend out the life cycle.
Absolutely. What's the approximate thickness of this finished product once it is steamed or heated and then it cools?
I don't have that answer. I should have that answer.
Is it probably the same thickness, I would imagine,
As your
the
typical
pipe?
line, yeah.
Okay. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
27th Street Reconstruction Design Contract.
Good evening, Commissioners. John Brown, Project Manager for the City of Hayes. And this item involves the reconstruction of 27th Street and hiring a design engineer to do that. The capital improvement plan within the 2020 budget included this project. And to accomplish its construction in 2021, which is where it is on the CIP, it's necessary to begin engineering design at this time. The location is shown here. It's 27th Street between Hall and Fort. Zooming in a little bit, you can see better the street, the extent of the project. The project, because of the condition of the street, the condition of the curb and gutter, the condition of the sidewalks, this would be a full remove and replace, from including sidewalks, curb and gutter, pavement. Most of the driveways would be reconstructed in the process and the intersections. So 27th Street is an arterial road. It's 3 lanes with about 10,000 vehicles per day. The project length is 3,600 feet. As I mentioned, the pavement is failing. There are many ADA issues with the sidewalks and curb ramps and crossings, and so that's another reason to be redoing sidewalks and driveways in the process. There is a certain amount of water line and storm sewer upgrades that will be part of that. That will be further defined with the design process, going out and doing the survey and getting the engineer's opinion on what needs to be done and making recommendations, and then identifying. We've got a pretty good handle on the water line and what needs to be done, but we don't have a good price on that yet, but the engineer will help us with that. And when we come back with the cost estimates based upon the design, that will be in time for the 21 budget preparation, so that'll be included in the budget for 21 when construction would occur. As I mentioned, the capital improvement plan included $2.9 million for this project. And we received proposals from 5 engineering firms. Kirkham Michael and Associates out of Ellsworth presented the lowest cost proposal. They are the same engineering firm that designed the Allen Street reconstruction a few years ago. We were very satisfied with the work they did for us then, and so we're looking forward to working with them again, if that be your direction. The scope of engineering for the contract that is being presented includes survey, design, taking the project through bid letting, pre-construction meeting, and submittal review, contractor submittals. We do plan on inspecting the project in-house with city staff, as we have done on the last several street projects, and currently inspecting Elm and Ash and 4th Street, which is under construction right now down by Fort Hays State University. Schedule would have a bid opening in the fall of 2020, so design would take about a year. And then construction would begin early in 2021 and to be completed within that 2021 construction season. As I mentioned, the $2.9 million is budgeted out of city commission reserves. Any water improvements would come out of water capital, and the storm sewer would come out of stormwater reserve. So the commission has the options to authorize the manager to enter the agreement with Kirkland Michael, direct staff to another option, or to do nothing.
I move we authorize the city manager to enter an agreement with Kirkham Michael and Associates, Inc. in the amount of $89,900 for engineering services related to the design of the reconstruction of 27th Street from Hall to Fort, to be funded from commission capital reserves.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Oh, I was talking about taking care of our infrastructure and how with the sewer and water lines, you can't see that, but with streets, everybody sees that and feels it. And just like with the water lines, we've got to stay on top of these. John, do we have any idea, because this is a complete rehab base and everything, how old that street is, that when that base was put in?
I can't answer that specifically, but it's been there a while.
I'd say
50s?
Late 1950s, yeah.
50s, you're guessing?
When you look at the growth maps of Hayes in the hallway, so Hayes grew up to that point to the west, to the north and to the west till it hit 27th Street, and then started going east and then north central, and then it sort of wrapped around back to that. So it wouldn't surprise me if just the way it was developed, it was a county road, it developed up to it, it was received a little bit more overlays and maybe chip seals, and then came back to it, curb and gutter put in. but the same road base existed.
That's what happened with Hall Street. When Hall Street was first poured, they just asphalted over the county road. And I imagine that's exactly what happened here in the fifties.
That was a dirt road, I know, up until the early sixties, so that base, 27th Street, wasn't done yet in concrete, probably till sometime in the mid-sixties. Maybe not mid, but about,
Well, you know,
about,
I
about
actually moved there.
about 1961, I think.
We actually moved there as a family in 1959 or 60, and
That
that's
was
when the
paved?
concrete went in.
Okay. Well, I know north of the cemetery, that was, that.
Right.
Unpaved.
Yeah.
Unpaved, correct.
You know, see, you look at how long this street has lasted, and then you think about the sewer and water lines in South Hays, how much older they are
Exactly.
than even the streets, so, anyway, I can't stress enough to people on how much money we are spending fixing our infrastructure to make sure that we are a successful city in years to come.
I have just a couple comments, John. I drove it after we talked about it again last week, and I'm out in that area all the time, and they're just two comments of my appreciation. One, that you told us last week, we're going to keep that at least one lane open all the time, and I think that's very, very important because of how much traffic that carries. But the second thing, that street has just been a mess with all the storms, and the city has done a really, really good job keeping it from swallowing up cars as the last 6 months. I mean, really, it's been an amazing, amazing work. And I'm just looking at all the patching that was done. It's time.
That would be Jesse's guys,
I know.
Donnie, Kyle, Mark, and their
Yep.
crew.
They
Believe me,
are-
early on in the spring, some of the potholes we saw developing, I
Oh.
didn't know if we were gonna be able to save
It
it.
would have taken my car. I mean,
Yeah, they've
there's no
done a good
question.
job.
There's two things that I've commented on since I've been a commissioner, and one is the concrete guys. They're totally amazing, what they can do internally. And second of all, what these street guys do is just terrific. They really work hard and do a great job for the community.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Wonderful. Look forward to it. North Vine Street Corridor Project, right-of-way acquisition authorization.
Well, Commissioners, it's still me, John Brown, project manager. During executive session at last regular meeting, we went over some of the details of right-of-way acquisition for the Vine Street, North Vine Street Corridor Project. And since that time, it's become necessary to approve the expenditure of those funds. So we're asking the city commission to authorize the city manager to purchase the rights of way and easements associated with the North Vine Street Corridor Project, in the amount of $390,020, and that would be funded out of the capital projects line item budget fund.
I'll make the motion that we authorize the city manager to purchase right-of-way and an easements associated with the North Vine Street Corridor Project in the amount of $390,020 to be funded out of capital projects.
Second.
Motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Again, to reiterate what the city's project manager said, we took no action, and so now we're doing that in open session. This will help us complete the project on North Vine Street. Call for vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. A progress report. If it's not reported, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Toby Doherty, city manager, with the monthly progress report. City Public Works crews made repairs to the median on Vine Street at 48th Street. Part of the original project was brick inlay at this median. The bricks didn't hold up very well, and then there was some traffic that went over this median that would tear the curb up. So Public Works crews pulled it out, put new stamped and dyed concrete in, and then that's what the finished product looks like. So visually, it looks sort of the same going by, but it's just a lot more, has a lot more longevity. Total cost is about $20,000. The recent storm, the city conducted a citywide tree limb pickup. This was a concerted effort between the Parks Department, Public Works, and I think even Water Resources helped out. We hauled about 360 loads of limbs to the Ellis County landfill. The Hayes Fire Department participated in this year's March to Maine and handed out fire safety material. The Hayes Fire Department also participated in the full-scale exercise at the Hayes Regional Airport. This is something that's required by the FAA every 3 years. Have to simulate an emergency at the airport. This year it was a plane crash that was simulated. It wasn't just the Hayes Fire Department. All the public safety agencies in the county participated in this. It was a very, very, very successful drill. We had about 30 nursing students and instructors from North Central Kansas Technical College that acted as the passengers, and then USD 49 provided a bus that served as the plane for the first responders to perform their maneuvers. The Parks Department installed a new restroom at Hickok Park. This is the restroom, the prefab restrooms that we have been putting up all over town. We're extremely happy with these restrooms, and the people in the neighborhood are very happy to have a restroom at that park. Parks Department completed the Rolling Hills Sidewalk Connector. This is the sidewalk that connects the multi-use path on 41st Street to Rolling Hills Park and then the adjacent neighborhoods. A sidewalk is also put along the east side of Rolling Hills Park that connects into the neighborhood. So a lot of connectivity through that area. This is a long time coming, and this is just another view looking back to the west. Parks Department installed 2 granite benches in Mount Allen Cemetery. This is, I believe, over by the columbarium, which is actually filling in quite nicely. People were pretty slow to adapt to columbarium, but I see a lot more of those squares that are filled out now. Commission Chambers podiums replaced, so the people at home that may not come down to City Hall, we moved the podium from the center of the room to allow for better visibility between the commission and the audience, and better interaction between the presenter and the audience. 2 servers primarily responsible for file sharing, network monitoring, and infrastructure databases were experiencing performance issues. We were able to migrate those to a different server, and we were able to add resources in without hardware and no downtime. This is the type of stuff that goes on in the background that even the people inside the city don't know what's going on, so our IT department continues to do a great job. Hayes Police Department recently participated in 40 millimeter weapon training. This is a less than lethal option that allows for 40 millimeter rounds that are to be utilized in lieu of lethal force. So hopefully being able to resolve a situation without casualties or fatalities. This is Officer Dakota Reese. He participated in the Fort Hays State University Career Fair on September 18th. We do hire a lot of Fort Hays grads in our police department, so nice to see Dakota up there. This is a video or a photo that shows Kai Scheibler down here, and he is cleaning out the West Primary Basin. That's going to be put back into service this fall. Right now, we are running on the East Primary Basin, which is a larger basin. We will migrate back to this one. So we save time and money, or save mostly money and energy by not running both primaries at the same time. This is a photo showing the disposal of biosolids on farm ground. This is Mark Lang and Sean Swift. So we have contractual arrangement with certain farm properties around the county, and we're able to land apply our biosolids. It's great fertilizer for them, and it helps us dispose of it in a more environmentally friendly manner. We had a significant water leak of a 12-inch pipe along the East 27th Street frontage road. As you can see, a lot of water resulting in the area. City crews were able to go in and replace a 7-foot section of that 12-inch pipe. This year, March to Maine was held. The commissioners participated in that. It was a very successful event. CVB served about 500 meals in 24 minutes and gave away about $4,500 in prizes. And the Hayes Police Department handed out ice cream sandwiches. They had their sobriety goggles there. As I mentioned before, the fire department was there. They gave out fire safety info for renters. And then we also had sponsors such as the Taco Shop, and then other prizes that were given away. The students were very happy with it. Janet Kuhn represented the city of Hayes. She's with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. She represented the city at the state fair. And then she was also at the Explore Kansas weekend. 41st Street reconstruction is complete. The project is open. I believe the only thing we are waiting on now is a handrail on the bridge along that sidewalk. So the sidewalk may still be down. I'm not sure if that's opened yet or not. But when the handrail gets installed, then it'll be opened back up. Successful project. 4th Street is complete in the Elm, 4th and Ash reconstruction. The Elm Street section looks great, 4th Street looks good, and they are working on Ash Street now. When I went by there yesterday, it looked like they had the ground prep for a pour. I don't know if they started pours this week or not. Do you know that? Okay. Curb and brick repair took place on Walnut between 12th and 13th. This was a complete reconstruction of that area on the curb and brick. The crews did a great job, and they were in and out very quickly. They removed and replaced about 28,000 brick after redoing the concrete base underneath that. And that was it.
Toby, can you remind me, or maybe John needs to, the completion date for the Elm Street project?
Mid-November.
Are we on
mic.
track?
Someone on
Oh,
mic.
sorry.
I'll get out of your way.
Right, they have until mid-November, I think it's like the 12th or the 15th of November to complete the project, and it's gonna be close, but I think they can make it. They're dedicated to it now, moving along. 4th Street, like the manager said, is done. It should be open tomorrow. They were supposed to be sealing the joints. Once it gets sealed, joints sealed tomorrow, they'll open it up. Ash Street will be working along. Like I said, they've got curb and gutter slipped in some of the areas. They're pouring a bunch of the driveways and stuff back tomorrow. And then we'll try to get all the curb and gutter, driveway, sidewalks done, and then they'll pour the pavement, and they'll go pretty fast once they have all the side stuff done.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for the report. Ebert, any inquiry or comment?
I have no additional items.
Mr. Mellick?
I have nothing this evening.
I'd just like to welcome everybody to Hayes High Class Reunion this weekend and homecoming. That's Henry's alma mater, my alma mater. And I understand from council that a couple very dear friends of mine are in town, and it just brings back lots of wonderful memories. I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe time and enjoys the weekend.
This is an odd one. I'm going to bring it up again in the future. There's a constitution, well, we have an election on November 5th. Locally, we will be choosing city commissioners, and we'll also be choosing individuals to serve on the USD 49 school board. There's a statewide question, though, to amend the Kansas Constitution. Kansas is the only state in the United States that has a very strange provision in its constitution. That is, that after a census is completed, decennial census is completed, the Kansas Secretary of State is required by law to contact college students and military personnel to find out where they would prefer to be counted after they've been counted. That's odd because the census actually says they are to be counted where they sleep on the date the census is completed. So the Secretary of State and the legislature is asking us to approve this constitutional amendment to strike the language because it does not conform with the Constitution. Second, it's very costly and difficult for the office to do. I'll bring this up in the future, but I thought I'd bring it out now because we'll have some gaps between now and the election. Is there anything else for this evening? We are adjourned.